So when you have longitudinal or cross sections, so you have a tube. So I'm going to do a longitudinal section. I'm going to cut down across it, through it like this. So I'm going to get a half a tube, right? If I cut across it. If I take it and I cut a cross section, a transverse section, I'm going to get a ring. I'm going to get a hole. So if you're thinking about the body and you think of the small intestine winding around, and so if I do a transverse section through there, or frontal section, or a sagittal section, or a frontal section, any of those sections, I'm going to cut through different parts of this winding around. So you have maybe part of the small intestine is winding like this, and so when I do let's do a frontal section. So I cut through, and you're going to see a cut that looks longitudinal, but then the small intestine turns, and so that frontal section is going to cut through and make a little ring. So in the same image, you may see a long piece and then a ring, right? So, and we might see some pictures of that, or you can look them up on the internet. You can see all kinds of different sections. But you have to be able to 3D interpret, especially if you're doing radiology. If you're looking at X-rays, more MRIs and CT scans, you have to interpret what you're looking at and move it around in your head, because you're looking at different sections of the body. You're not looking at the whole body put together. You're always looking at a small slice of the body in those kind of images. Okay, so next slide. Okay, so in the lab we do body plans and sections. We might do some modeling clay and put things together, fill in the chart. There's a chart to fill in. Also, we used to do some plastic tubing. We'd cut those up, and you can see longitudinal sections versus transverse sections, all those things. We also used to do sheep brains. I don't think we're going to do those this semester and have those cut up. We'll do some other dissections later on that are a lot of fun. All right, next slide. So here we go. This is a CT scan, right? And this is a CT scan of the thoracic region. So you can't see that behind. So down behind me, back down there, is actually a picture of of where the section is taken. There's an actual picture of the trunk, and it shows where the slices through. But anyway, you'll notice this is my name. Okay, here. So this was actually a CT scan of me. I had some dull pain around the gallbladder region, so they started looking at different things. They did a CT scan of thorax all the way down, thoracic region all the way down to the abdominal region, just to check everything out. So what do we got here? Well, we're looking at the thoracic region right here. So you can see right here we have, that's a vertebra there, here, and here. These little white things right there, those are ribs, right? So this part here, that's a lung. Alrighty. And since you're looking at this from the patient's feet, so that would be the right lung. So this is the right side here. And this is the left side. Oops, can't see that. Left side over here. And conveniently, it's labeled right there. So you can see L over there. And so this would be the left lung here. Okay. And then right in the middle, that is going to be your heart there. All right. So what kind of section is this? Well, to see this kind of view, you'd have to cut through the thorax, right? So you cut through the lungs and the heart, so it would be a section going like this. So that would be a transverse. That would be a transverse section, right? Okay. And also these white areas that you can see through here, all these little white kind of tubular things. Those are all the bronchioles. So you have the trachea divides into bronchus into each of the bronchi. Those branch into bronchioles, and then further down. So those are all bronchioles that you're seeing there. All right, next slide. So what is this CT scan? This is the abdominal region here, and so you can see the vertebrae very nicely. There. That's each of the vertebrae. Here's a little bit of, here's a kidney. Here's kidney. This is liver, because this is and you actually see, so that's I'm going to go to white here. So that is lung. This is a lung. And this right here is diaphragm. Okay, so you can see that there. And then we have, and this is some stomach here, right? So we're looking at, so what type of section would this be? Well, this is, you're looking front on at this, so this would be a frontal section or a coronal section. So there you go, frontal or coronal section, all right? And all right, next slide. Okay, so here we are looking at another section, again, of me. And let's see, I'll bring that to white. No, I'll go back to black. So, all right. So if you notice, right, it disappears, doesn't it? So I'll change it. So right to there. There's my belly button. All right. So, and then we go back to, I'll go to black. And so here you got vertebrae, vertebra, vertebra, vertebra. Okay, all that. And we got some other structures in here. So what type of section is this? Well, this is looking at me from the side. So that would be, so a sagittal section cuts you from side to side. So this would be a sagittal section. Next slide. And there we are. It's a sagittal section. Okay. And it cut right down the middle. So that would actually be a mid-sagittal section. Since it cut right through my belly button, you know it's belly button and the spine. So I went right down the middle. Okay, so that's how you can tell it's a mid-sagittal section. Okay, next slide. Here's some pictures out of the other book showing a CT scan is color enhanced. They just added colors all to these different things, showing the stomach. Let's see, stomach, liver, vertebral column, right lung is there. Left lung would be here. That'd be left lung. Okay. And some small intestine showing up here. That's what this squiggly little bit here is. Okay. And then a left kidney right here. So this would be a right kidney here. That's right. That's not really all the importance of this because we were just trying to figure out which type of section this is. I'm just labeling the whole thing. Sorry about that. So what is this? Is this a sagittal section, or is it a transverse section, or a frontal section? So since you're looking front on at this, this would be a frontal section. All right, next slide. And here we go. We're looking at liver, vertebra, and stomach again, and this is a frontal, sagittal, or transverse section. Well, since you're looking top to bottom, this would be a transverse section. Remember, you're looking up at the patient's, from the patient's feet. So this is the right side over here. This is left. Okay. So because they're like laying down with their feet face towards you. So this is all liver. This whole big thing here, and this stomach there. Let's abbreviate. Okay. All right. Next slide. Let's see. I guess I should point out the other thing too. So this, if I can find my pen, here we go. That's the spleen there. All right. So on the left side you have stomach, spleen. On the right side you have liver. Right. Just like if you put hands on yourself, there's liver and stomach, spleens on the left side. All right. Next slide. Here's a human cadaver. Oh, I forgot to mention this. In this lab, we don't use human cadavers. We use plastic models, that kind of stuff, because they're actually pretty good. If you actually want to go use human cadavers, you can go to Pellissippi. They still use human cadavers and dissect those. So what section is this? Would this be frontal, sagittal, or transverse? Well, since you're looking at the section through the vertebral column as well as the sternum, okay. So you can think about that on yourself. Then you're there and there. So this section had to go right through here. So that would be a mid-sagittal section, right? And so that's going right through the heart and the trachea and all that stuff. All right, next slide. So here's some things you can use to test yourself. So the clavicle is blank to the rib, way back to the beginning. Clavicle is blank to the ribs. Well, clavicle is superior to the ribs. Sternum is blank to the ribs. The sternum is medial to the ribs. Skull is blank to the pelvic girdle. Pelvic girdle is the clavicle, the collarbone, as well as scapula. So the skull is superior to those. Okay, so you can test yourself. Just pick any two things and say, is it superior, inferior? Is it superficial, deep? Is it anterior or posterior? Is it proximal or distal? So practice all those kind of things using like a diagram like this, okay? Or photographs like this. Next slide. Okay, in lab we do something called assisting the coroner. There's a couple exercises in the book we'd go through, but I'm not going to do these online. Next slide. And I have some additional figures that I've given you for practicing body regions and directional terms. That some piece of this I think will be in the handout. Other than that, I think that's it. So we will see you next time. Have a great week. Bye.